Hey everyone, it's Hans, and welcome back. A few weeks ago, Nintendo invited a whole lot of people, some influencers and media, to an event for the launch of the Nintendo Switch Lite. Shortly thereafter, they sent me one for review, and I've been enjoying it for the last couple of weeks, and I can honestly tell you, I really like it. I didn't expect to. And that's not because the console isn't good. It's great. It's just that the Switch is not my primary gaming device in my household. I primarily use it for when I'm leaving the home or traveling. That's when the Switch to me really shines. And I'm so glad to say that the Switch Lite just ups the ante, especially for portability. Okay, so we all know the basics, right? The Nintendo Switch, cool hybrid console, connects to your TV, super portable. So what makes the Switch Lite different? And what if you already have a Switch or you're looking at buying a Switch? Which one did you get? What are the major differences between the original Switch and the Switch Lite? So first and foremost, its size. The Switch was already quite a portable console, but the Switch Lite is even smaller. For a start, the original Switch has a 6.2-inch screen. It is 9.4 inches long and 4 inches high. When comparing that to the Switch Lite, the screen is now 5.5 inches. It is only 8.2 inches long and 3.6 inches in height. This might not seem like much on paper, but when you put the two of them together, I can honestly say there is more than enough of a difference, especially for putting it in your pocket. Although the original Switch is quite portable, the Switch Lite is just more portable in so many ways. One of the benefits of a smaller size with the Switch Lite as well is that the 720p screen, which is largely unchanged from the original Switch, looks better. It seems clearer, there's less aliasing on a lot of the in-game graphics, thus giving the Switch Lite a somewhat of a clearer picture, which is something I wasn't expecting when I got the device. I thought, it'll be exactly the same, but there's a tangible difference in the way that things look. In terms of audio quality, I do think the original Switch has slightly better speakers than the Switch Lite. With that said, honestly, if you're going to be gaming on these devices, you should be using some sort of a headset. The speakers in general are not that great. Another difference is that with the Switch Lite, you no longer have a rear kickstand. In truth, I almost never used it. Even with the kickstand, I would still prop it up against other items, so I'm not really seeing that as a major negative, to be honest. One of the bigger differences between the original Switch and the Switch Lite is that the Switch Lite cannot connect to the Switch dock. That means you can't connect it to a TV. For all intents and purposes, the Switch Lite is meant to be a purely portable console. It is not meant for the home to be connected to a TV for everyone to enjoy. It is meant almost solely for enjoying on the move, on the go, at which it excels given its smaller size. Better still, Nintendo updated the hardware for both Switch devices this year, and therefore, the original Switch with the newer hardware and the Switch Lite both have even longer battery life than before. I think it's between 7 and 9 hours, which is fantastic. We're talking iPad lengths of battery here. From a gameplay perspective, the Switch Lite also now has a proper D-pad. Gone are the other 4 buttons on the JoyCon from the original Switch, having been replaced by a full-on D-pad. I must assume the reason for this is because, unlike the original Switch, the Switch Lite doesn't have removable controllers. Of course, the Switch Lite can still be paired with other JoyCons or other Nintendo controllers, but the controls on the device itself cannot be removed. Other than that, the Switch Lite also no longer vibrates. Now, I personally really enjoy that kind of tactile feedback from the DualShocks and Xbox One controllers, and I've liked that with the Switch and its JoyCons. With that said, I almost didn't miss it when I was playing with the Switch Lite. I didn't realize how little of an impact it actually makes in terms of total enjoyment. And it surprised me because I thought, it's lacking that one feature, something that I really like, but I didn't actually miss it. I think the improved battery life actually outweighs the fact that it can't vibrate. Just like the bigger brother, the Switch Lite also has room for an SD card slot, a a Nintendo game card, as well as a 3.5mm headphone jack. All of the other inputs like the power, the volume control, and the plus and minus buttons and the A, B, Y, etc. are all basically identical. Except for the L and R bumper buttons, which have been raised a couple of millimeters above the original Switch, which is most likely why it feels so much better in the hand. Another difference is a little bit more stylistic in nature, and that is how the Switch Lite comes in full body colors with white embellishments for the triggers and the buttons. Personally, I really like the aesthetic, and although the original Switch has its own charm whereby the JoyCons can be different colors and the main base unit is black and grey, there's just something about the Switch Lite. It just looks cool. Not cute, but nice. At least in my opinion, the Switch Lite is better in the hand. It feels nicer to hold. It's a little bit more sturdy versus the original Switch. It doesn't have as many creaks or doesn't bend as much. And it feels good. Okay, so who is the Switch Lite for? If, like me, you already have a Switch, there's no real reason to pick up the Switch Lite. Sure, it has better battery life because of the slightly more refined chipset, but other than that, it's the exact same experience. Although the Switch Lite is somewhat smaller, I can't really see a reason to buy the console purely from the size perspective. Perhaps if something happened to my original Switch, or, you know, there is that Pokemon limited edition Switch Lite that's coming out that might push me over the edge to get a Switch Lite. But other than that, there's no real reason. So if you already have a Switch, enjoy it. The experience is largely the same. It might be slightly bigger and battery life ever so slightly less, but overall it's the same experience. And at least if you do have the original Switch, you can connect it to your TV, and therefore you can enjoy games like Ring Fit Adventure, which is not compatible with the Switch Lite unless you actively purchase another set of JoyCons. The same applies for 1-2 Switch and 1 or 2 other games, but overall all games work on both consoles. If you don't already have a Switch, however, and you're looking at purchasing one, I can highly recommend the Switch Lite. It has fantastic build quality. It feels good in the hand. It has somewhat better battery life than the original Switch. The screen looks a little bit more refined purely because it's small and the pixel density is better. It offers practically the same features, minus being able to dock and connect to a TV, removable controllers and vibration. But other than that, on almost every other perspective, it meets or supersedes what the original Switch offered. Especially when it comes to size. It's a small thing, but it makes a difference, especially when you're on the go. The Nintendo Switch sells for upwards of 6,000 Rand. That's roughly $400 US. Whereas the Switch Lite sells for 4,000 Rand, which is roughly $200 US. So for that 2,000 to 3,000 Rand difference, you could get 2 to 3 additional games if you decide to get a Switch Lite. Of course, you'll then be giving up the ability to connect to a TV, portable JoyCons, and vibration. So simply put, if I didn't already have a Switch, I would 100% be looking at a Switch Lite. Mainly because when I game on a TV, I use my Xbox or my PlayStation, and I seldom use my Switch. Mostly because, what's the point? I can just pick it up and enjoy it wherever I want to go. Whether that's to my room, out to the park, travel, it doesn't matter. The Switch Lite can come with me, whereas the other consoles can't. I hope you enjoyed my review of the Nintendo Switch Lite. If you did, you know what to do, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Ciao for now.